Hey, what's up guys, it's me David or Laugh Now Die Later, and in this video I'm going to be telling you guys my top 5 manga. Now this is a video that has been recommended to me a whole lot on my Discord server, especially over the last few months, and also people have recommended me doing more generalized videos on this channel. Since you guys know I always talk about one series every video and this and that, people said do some top 5s, and I was like, you know what, bet. I haven't done this video even before the restart, and I just decided let's just do it. My top 5 manga. So let's just get into it. But before we do, I'm gonna give a big shout out to my boy Abisu or Arvis. He's the guy that's been making me these dope thumbnails over the last few weeks, and I really love the work he's been doing for me. So I want you guys to check out his YouTube channel. He does great videos as well, talking about manga, talking about anime, and he really is a dope content creator. And thanks a lot to him for really helping me out, especially during my restart on this channel. But without any further ado, let's get right into this video with my number 5. My number 5 is Naruto. Now this series is not one that I actually grew up with, as a lot of people have from my friend groups growing up. I was always more of a Dragon Ball kind of kid, watching it on TV, but Naruto was always there. And I think that Naruto is probably one of the most influential manga of all time, or series as a whole. I always saw everything about Naruto growing up and Dragon Ball, but Naruto was really prevalent in at least where I grew up at, and I just never got into it until March when I went on vacation. I decided to start giving Naruto a shot and just read it and binge it. It's completed, so why not? So in about a week's time, I went on the Shonen Jump app and I read all of Naruto, and this series really lived up to the hype to me. I think the characters are dope. I think the story as a whole is just, it immerses you into the world and just makes you feel like you're there. Like, I know a lot of people say the anime is you get so emotional when people die from the anime, but listen, I got so connected to these characters in the manga that when some people died, and you know who I'm talking about, I almost cried. It's just the way that Naruto builds up characters and makes you fall in love with them to then they die off. It just hurts. It hurts, but in a kind of good way, because that's how the mangaka was able to do it. Kishimoto really made the characters their own and made you fall in love with them. And just the story of a young kid having a goal, which could be seen as a shonen cliche, because One Piece wants to be the Pirate King and Naruto wants to be the Hokage, and Asta wants to be the Wizard King now. But Naruto goes on his own journey to try to reach his goals, and then the way that the world just kind of just tried to fall apart through Madara and everyone that played a villainous role in this series, and how they tried to just take over the world and all that and how Naruto and their group of people tried to stop them. Just everything about how Naruto went from being the kid that everyone in his village hated or was scared of to becoming the village hero is just a beautiful story to me, and I will never forget reading this series. I always think about this series, and I probably will have it in my collection someday. It's just really expensive to collect, but someday I will have it because I will definitely reread it physically. But that is my number 5, Naruto. All right, getting into number 4, it is Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Revengers is a newer series, and well, roughly newer series, and it's been popular pretty recently, especially with the anime adaptation. And I think this series as a whole is just really good. The whole cast, all the characters, all the different gangs that are created are just so dope to me. I think it has one of the best antagonists in manga, and I just really love everything about Tokyo Revengers. It's kind of isekai. I don't know if it's considered an isekai because of the way it starts, if you know what I mean, but it probably isn't. But it just gives me that feel, but it does it in its own way. And then just all the fights that occur, I really can't wait to watch the anime myself, because I really haven't yet. And when I do, I really can't wait to see Bloody Halloween happen animated and all of this, because this is one of the best series to binge, in my opinion. I binged this series from the beginning and caught up, and I can say that I enjoyed binging it more than I am currently reading it on a weekly or whenever it release basis, because I just think this series is binge worthy than it is reading it like weekly. I just don't enjoy it as much. Like, the series right now is at a point where it's going into its final stages, like the last arc. So it's kind of like having a lot of build up chapters right now. And I know that when it gets to its climax, it's going to be great. But at the moment, I think if you haven't read it already, please do me the favor, wait till it's done and then binge it all in one go, because I will tell you that will be one hell of a ride. And I just love this series. I think Takamichi is one of the dopest protagonists in shonen at the moment, despite him being a quote-unquote crybaby. The way he's able to motivate everybody in the series who are quote-unquote like gangsters, not really, but you know what I mean. And like the way he's able to influence the world that he went back into, since he went back in time, and the way he's able to change some people, and everything is just so amazing to me. And I just love everything about Tokyo Revengers, and I'm really excited to see how this series ends and how it unfolds in the ending, especially what it has to do with Mikey and all of that. So again, Tokyo Revengers is one of my favorite series, honestly, that I've probably ever read. And yeah, that's why I made it into my top 5. All right, my number 3 is a series that I actually made a video on not too long ago, so I definitely won't say a lot about it. And that is The Flowers of Evil. I made a video with my boy Blue Tempest, and we really go in depth about everything that we had to say about this series. And I definitely think you guys should check that video out to know what I think about it, because I've been reading so much since then that I'm not gonna lie to you guys. You know how I am. My memory is a little messed up, so like I don't want to mess up here and say things about it that are kind of wrong, or that I kind of forget, or not mention something that I forgot. But I just want to say that this series is honestly pretty much almost flawless. Like, this series, the way Oshimi writes this story, the way that the story pre-time skip is, and then the way that the time skip helps to then move the story along and change it into a story about closure, and all of that is just done so beautifully. The artwork is amazing. I think The Flowers of Evil is a masterpiece in my opinion, and I definitely recommend you guys to check that out. And this is why this series is in my top 5, is because it's pretty much damn near a masterpiece in my opinion. And I'm not going to say anything else about it. Just check out the video if you haven't already. But Flowers of Evil is in my number 3 spot. All right, coming in at number 2, we have a series that started off my collection, and I also did a video on it. It was actually my first video coming back, and that is Death Note. I think Death Note is probably one of the best starting anime / manga to get into when you get into this community. And I think if you like mystery, if you like thriller, I think it will keep you captivated and keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the whole ride. Say what you want about the whole L thing. I was still sitting on the edge of my seat reading this after the whole L situation happened. So in my opinion, it is one of the best manga I have ever read, and I still stand by that. Eventually maybe it'll go down on the list, but out of pure like emotion, because of like and pure love for the series, it'll always be somewhere in my top 10. I feel like it may move down, but it definitely will be there, because this series is just fantastic. I love the characters. I love how this was really a series that came into the Shonen Jump magazine at a time where you had battle shonen such as Naruto and One Piece and all of these, and Bleach, in pretty much almost in their peaks. These battle shonen that really shaped the Shonen Jump magazine. And then you have Death Note coming in, and it was a battle shonen that people really didn't expect, because it wasn't a battle shonen like the other 3 I mentioned before, where it was, fighting with your fists and all of this, or like a power system. It was the fighting of your minds, and that's why I love it so much, because I love stories like that. Growing up, I always loved watching shows like Law and Order and CSI and everything. So like having something similar where it's like a battle of your minds and trying to find who Kira is and all of this and all of that is just so wonderful to me. And I can't wait to read more series like that, because I've been recommended some series and I really can't wait. But Death Note is definitely my number 2 on my list right now, and I definitely love this series to bits, man. I genuinely do. All right, and my number 1 favorite manga has to be none other than Attack on Titan. This series, to me, you remember how I mentioned how Tokyo Revengers is one of the best binges I've ever had? Attack on Titan was the best binge that I've ever had. Reading this series really threw me in for a loop, because before I got into anime or manga really, I did watch the anime about the first 2 seasons back in 2018. This was before I really got into this community, and I liked it, but I just dropped it. I just stopped watching anime again. I just stopped. But reading this manga all the way through, especially past where I had gotten in the anime, holy crap, man. I was not expecting how the story turned out. After that time skip, Attack on Titan added such a different element, and it just went up another level to me that was just superior to any other series I've ever read. I don't think the ending was terrible like everyone says. I think that it was a satisfying ending. I don't think it was a masterpiece ending, but not all masterpieces have great endings, and it doesn't take away from them being an overall masterpiece. I give a sports example here. If Tom Brady was to lose, let's say it's Tom Brady's final season, he loses the Super Bowl, right? Or he doesn't make the playoffs. To me, that doesn't discredit all the greatness he has done in his football career. And overall, everyone will still say Tom Brady is the GOAT of football. Same thing with Attack on Titan. Just because the ending wasn't to everyone's expectations, it doesn't take away from the fact that as a whole, Attack on Titan is one of the best manga to have ever been written, in my opinion. So that's just what I got to say about Attack on Titan. It was one of the best reads I've ever had. I love everything about it. Eren Yeager's one of my favorite characters ever, and I think that if you haven't read this series, please read it. And again, this is one of those series that I'm definitely going to watch the anime for when it's completely just binge it from the beginning to the end. So that was pretty much it. That was my top 5 manga. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It took me a little bit to find out what series were going to be in my top 5, and I'm pretty happy with my list, to be honest. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.